Hi, I'm Alex Van Ham with Freebird Media, and I'm standing outside of the Canadian Christian College today where I'm attending an event entitled The Stifling of Free Speech on University Campuses, featuring Dr. Gad Saad, Dr. Jordan Peterson, and Dr. Oren Amate. Now, this event was actually planned for a few weeks ago, but it was shut down by far-left radicals. The original event was only going to have 300 to 400 people. Today there's over 1,500. So it's been a success, although it's been a long time coming. Let's go inside and see what people have to say. Hi, so what brought you to the event today, and what do you think of it overall?
Okay, so I've been a fan of Jordan Peterson's basically when he started getting public attention, putting his videos out, getting more viewers, right? When you started hearing about him in the news. But what I thought about the event, honestly, I was pretty dissatisfied with it.
Oh, really? How so?
So one of the people who asked the questions said, why did they disinvite Faith Goldy?
Which I thought was an excellent question.
Yes, yeah, it was a great question, but I think it was a pertinent one because they advocate that the left, or the people who are stifling freedom of speech, are the ones who disinvite speakers. So I think there's a hypocritical move there, although they tried to justify their reasons. And you know, I'm willing to agree with Peterson about almost anything, but this particular issue I thought was like disheartening to some degree, because I think they just did exactly the opposite of what they were saying.
Right, I can understand that. How do you feel? Their response, of course, was that it was a pragmatic decision, and perhaps they didn't want to come straight out and say it, but I feel as if they think that she's associated with the alt-right, and they don't want that here specifically. So it seems like hypocritical to remove Faith, but do you think that it might have done more harm than good to have her here?
I mean, depending on what you think harm is, I think regardless, if you don't want to associate with the alt-right, if people from that sphere are into it, they're going to come here. And secondly, I think by taking her out of the panel, you aren't doing that dialogue thing, right? It doesn't matter what her views are, if she's far right or whatever, which I don't think she particularly is. You're not having dialogue between the two sides, right? Which I think is what Jordan Peterson represents, is that centrist position of being a mediator between the two. So if you're going to cut one side off, then might as well have no discussion.
True, that's a fair point. Beyond Faith Goldy's removal from the panel, was there anything else of note that you liked or didn't like?
Yeah, I mean, I liked Saad's talk was really good. The second one I wasn't too much of a fan of because it was, I thought it was a bit childish, and it was basically animating a vendetta against this girl in front of a crowd because you had an argument with her. At least that was my perception of it. But I think that Peterson has given better talks than this one. I went to Western when he talked at Western, and that was like phenomenal. But I also think that freedom of speech isn't his main topic. So he's not, I mean, it's not, he doesn't put everything into the freedom of speech. It just comes as an accessory to what he's talking about, right? Because he's being silenced on his main views, he has to talk about freedom of speech, right? But his main thing is the psychology and the philosophy, so to speak, right?
So you said you went to Western, which is overall a fairly good school as far as free speech goes, especially compared to McMaster. But would you still say is a free speech problem at Western, or is it overall pretty good?
I mean, there's a free speech problem everywhere, but I think Western has like students for free speech. I forget what they were called, or Young Canadians in Action were the ones who put the talk together and got him to come there. So I think they have a good basis, right, that a group like that exists, and I think groups like that should exist all over Canadian universities, all over American universities. So yeah, I think, you know, it's good that it's there and it promotes free speech. Like we saw two protesters, and they were protesters, right? They were protesting for Jordan Peterson. There was nobody else. Yeah, so.
Well, thanks for taking the time to talk to me.